right, here we are live, and this week it worked. Last week it did not work so well, and I did it. I cannot believe I played the intro, and I'm able to jump right in. So this is episode number 75 of the Trauma Informed Educators Network podcast. It's a special episode because I believe that this work works best when you do it with your friends, right? When you make contacts, you support others doing the work. I know Jim Sporleader told me at the very beginning of me getting into this work, there just isn't enough people doing this work, right? And so I am very passionate about the guests that we have coming on today and the work that they've been doing for a long time. And I've been so honored to be a part of it. But before we get there, I do want to announce a really exciting announcement that just today we have surpassed 150,000 streams of the podcast. You all, it blows my mind that this podcast has ignited the interest in people that we're seeing. And that isn't including the live views on social media, and even those that aren't on the major platforms on the podcast platform. So huge thanks to you all who listen and come back every week and download and listen to these episodes, because it is a learning opportunity for all of us, including myself. So huge thanks for that. And having said that, I also want to say, if you listen to the podcast, you get something out of it, you learn from it, give us a review on whatever platform that you listen to. So do you listen to it on iTunes? Do you listen to it on Spotify, on SoundCloud? Whatever you listen to it, give us a review on that platform, because that helps others learn about the podcast. And we want as many people, especially in education, to know about the impact and the importance of trauma-informed education. So let's get into this episode. This episode is unique in that it's a special episode, and I can't believe I even am able to be a part of such an amazing opportunity of learning and connection that is happening in February of next year. So this week's guests are two amazing, fierce advocates and practitioners from the Attachment and Trauma Network. And we are going to be talking about the excitement that I'm feeling, and I know you all, Ginger and Julie, both are feeling around the Creating Trauma-Sensitive Schools Conference in Houston, Texas in February, as well as a virtual sessions that's going to be offered. But here's the coolest thing. This is the largest gathering of trauma-informed educators, right? Like in-person and virtual gathering. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. Last year we had more than 4,000 people by the time we added up who came to Houston, plus who joined us online, because we're now doing an asynchronous hybrid, reach as many people as we can, because the speakers and the folks that show up at our conference are truly the best of the best. And so our mission is about reaching as many children in their schools through this conference as we possibly can.
And I will tell you, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. Like, don't forget, like it honestly, this conference makes learning fun, right? It surrounds you with like-minded people who are willing to take this learning journey with you and meet you where you are, whether you have just learned about trauma work, whether you are an international presenter that travels the world. Literally, this conference will bring anything to anyone, no matter where you are or where you're from. Mm-hmm. At least that's my testimonial and experience last year when I got to attend. And it's like a family reunion. It's like all the people you have maybe interacted with in social media or interacted with online or experienced a training with, you get to like sit down and hang out with them and talk and meet, right? Right.
And probably lots of people you didn't know, but you get to meet. It really, we love the way it feels, actually. And from my perspective, because I am, even though I'm the executive director of ATN, I am not an educator. I am a parent. And so I didn't know, I didn't know what we were getting into here at all. And I didn't know what educators were thinking about trauma. This was back in 2018 when we started all of this. And the first year I was pretty weepy, just standing there realizing that there were, at that point, 700 educators who understood that trauma was at the core of a lot of what was happening for their kids who were really struggling. And they were dedicated to try to figure this out. And every year we bring more information in. We know more than we knew the year before, and more people come in, and we're watching the movement grow right before our eyes. And, in today's society, when we're hopeless about a whole lot, I'm hopeful about the people who show up there. Really hopeful.
And how could you not, right? I mean, when there's an international presence at a conference and you get perspective, I think what the ATN conference and really any conference, right, that is focused in this space, it's a fuel for those who are on fire, right? And it could be a spark for those just trying to learn. And everybody you meet will be the fuel to that spark and fire, because you've got some of the work's top experts presenting, right? I mean, tell us about who's going to be there as far as experts in the field.
One of our amazing keynotes is Dr. Lori DeSatel. And if you know anything about her, you know what a pioneer she is in the field. I know I have my book here too, and her new book is coming out. But she's a world changer, and she has really taught a lot about how to change the classroom atmosphere and shift that paradigm of moving, from punitive to compassionate response in the classroom and education. And so we are so excited that Dr. Lori is coming. She is going to blow everybody away.
Yes.
Okay, I don't normally do this, but I'm about to name drop Dr. Lori. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to preface it and say it gets worse too. It almost sounds like I'm bragging, and it might be, because I'm pretty proud of this. But Dr. DeSatel and I got to hang out in Australia together, and with her husband, who is a super awesome dude too. But her new book, you all, I feel so honored to have like this pre-copy. And she's always, I posted it on social media, and there's been a few other people, and she's like, but that's not the final version. There's still mistakes in there. So to me, I'm like, this is like the baseball card with the wrong number on the back. I feel like it's going to be worth millions.
Yeah.
One day, right? But her new book, Intentional Neuroplasticity, you all, I got to preview the book. I got to tell my opinion of it. And I will tell you, if you are an educator that's doing this work, it's unbelievable, you all. Right. The tools. And I have to show you this artwork. I know she'll talk about it. And to be honest, I just emailed her. She's going to come back on and talk about this book. But check out these.
That is amazing.
Do you know who did this? Her daughter.
Yeah.
Her daughter did most of the graphics in here. She's an artist. And what an amazing collaboration around the impact of trauma-informed education and understanding the impact. And she digs into the polyvagal theory. And I know you all had Stephen Porges last year. Such a great book. So if you don't have that yet, put it on your list. And if you don't have her other, this one is amazing too. Connections over compliance.
It certainly is. And I'm not 100% sure because I haven't talked to our bookseller, but we have a bookseller who comes every year, and he works with our speakers to try to get their, their books in the store. So that would be fun too. Come to the conference, buy the book there. Let Dr. DeSatel actually sign it. That would be awesome, right? And yeah, that's it. We're so excited.
And that's just one. So tell us more about who else is coming, because you have so many amazing people coming. And I might tell the story about last year about how I ended up on the stage, because I think it was pretty awome.
We need to get real about that. Yeah.
Well, talk about the other keynote.
Matthew. Yeah.
Talk about the other keynote, and then we'll tell that story.
So, the second keynote, which we just got, we just got a twist today. We're big on plot twists in our conference as we work our way through. You set a schedule and then things start to happen. Is Dr. Fania Davis, who last year was supposed to be on with us. She is a civil rights icon. She is an attorney by trade. She is a mover shaker, founding person in the restorative practices, restorative justice work across this country and around the world. And due to that dang COVID, she couldn't make it last year. And this year, I just talked to her folks. We're actually moving her to our Thursday slot, which is on the virtual side of things. But we will get to see her up close and personal. And the very cool thing about Dr. Davis being in that position on Thursday's kickoff, if you will, is because this year, for the first time, if you buy an in-person ticket, you get the virtual for free. And what I think a lot of people didn't know about our conference when we started doing this after COVID this way is that they're two separate agendas. They're two conferences in 1 week is really what's happening. Mm-hmm. And there's such a richness there because we can reach farther, and we do some recordings. We'll do them this year in Houston to air on the virtual side, but that's expensive and technologically challenging. And so most of what you see on the virtual side will be all new. So, why not come to both, right?
Awesome.
Well, and I have to say, what is so amazing about the virtual portion is that attendees have access to the recordings for 90 days. And that's, tough sometimes to get away from the office or to sit at your desk all day for a couple of days. You might miss something, or you might want to go back and re-listen and really pull out some good stuff for PD or other things. And so having access to those recordings for 90 days is really a game changer, because I know for me, every time I go back and listen, it's like hearing it for the first time or gleaning things that I couldn't wrap my head around that I'm like, I need to hear that again. So I can't, shout that out enough, because that is, it's just a fantastic offering that you just get more bang for your buck.
And it gives you an opportunity. If you miss a session, you can go back. I mean, I think that's the hardest thing of a conference is
choosing which one to go to, because we have this problem at ATN where we have so many good speakers. How do you choose? And so this gives you the opportunity to see every single virtual speaker and some at the in-person that you missed as well. And you can see them on repeat. So I just don't know where else you can have that same experience.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, that has been one of the biggest complaints when people write, what they don't like about the conference and send it in on survey. It's like there was too much to choose from, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a nice problem.
It's a good problem to have. Yeah. If you're going to get feedback, that's what you want. You have too many good sessions, and we need some that we don't want to go to. I mean, that's really good feedback. And I will tell you that Dr. Davis, too, this alignment of what she does between the intersection of collective trauma and healing, racial justice and restorative justice, it's what I love to refer as the messy part of trauma-informed work, but the necessity of the work. And I go back to one of the guests on here, Alex Chevron-Bennett, who wrote the Equity Center Trauma-Informed Education, right? She's been saying this for a long time. We have to have these conversations, whether people are ready or not. And I think that's what I love about Fania is she's not afraid to have the conversation. Exactly. And she's bringing a sense of expertise and lived experience that she's going to be able to share with everybody that's there. So let's talk about last year, because Julie, I have to tell this story because I think it is just so hilarious. Anybody that really knows me knows that I don't take myself very seriously very often. Matter of fact, I'm probably the most serious when I'm on this podcast because I'm really passionate about it. But I remember Julie sending me an email last year and she's like, hey, can we chat? Can we talk? Or I think
you and I had never met in person before, right? So I mean,
so I'm like, sure. She's like, so I have something really awkward to ask you. And like people at ATN, they just don't know. They don't know if I should even ask you. She's like, if Dr. Davis if she's unable to come because she is feeling ill, will you be the backup? I'm like, yes. This is how I described it, Julie. I said, like, if you could go to the prom with the quarterback of the football team, and I was like the head of the math league, and you were like, if dude can't show, will you step in? Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't feel bad about it. I'm like, this is a great opportunity. And I remember the day, I think it was 2 days before, you're like, yep, you're going to be in. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
We're calling up. We're calling you up. You're in.
So I went from going to the 8th grade dance to going to the senior prom. It was awesome.
Listen, not only did you go, but you got crowned prom king.
That's
because
right.
I know you don't want to hear this, or maybe you do, but Matthew, it was you dropped the mic. It was such a powerful, life-changing talk that you gave. And it moved us all. And it's exactly what we needed, exactly in that moment. So it was.
We actually do refer to you as the prom date, by the way.
Really? That's great.
That's how.
Hey, and I showed up in a coat and t-shirt and everything. I was ready. And I must say, and I mean this wholly, when you're in the presence, when you speak in front of people, and I do it all the time, and I've done it literally around the globe, but I know in the first 10 minutes, that energy that you get. And I could tell from the moment I stepped on the stage in Houston that this crowd was one that I was honored to be a part of, that they were in it and they believed in the work. And I think that's the power of this conference is you have people who are showing up and they're ready to do this disruptive, right? This disruptive work of like, no, we've got to start changing systems. And we're talking about hard things in these sessions that, as I said, and I think I said it in that keynote, I may not have, this may be something I added later, but are you unsafe? Are you uncomfortable? Right? Because we don't want people to feel like they're unsafe, but we certainly want everybody to be on that cusp of being uncomfortable because that's where growth happens. And yeah, I remember that was honestly one of the most inspiring moments that I've had as a speaker. And I've had a lot of opportunities. And even with the way that you designed the environment of the conference is great. You live by what you say we need to do. You have calming kits. You do community service projects. I mean, so much of what happens is amazing.
One of the things we learned really quickly was that talking about trauma all day really brings up a lot of big emotions for folks, right? And especially if you're relatively new to this work or if somebody challenges you and you start to feel uncomfortable. And we feel obligated to bring in all of the topics and all of the speakers that are going to stretch us every year. So on the backside of that, because we are the Attachment and Trauma Network and we know a lot about being trauma informed and relationship building, we're on the lookout for the folks that are about to flip their lids because somebody will, and that's okay. And that's actually, we actually are here exactly for that. And one of Ginger's tasks in particular, but lots of our tasks in general, is to keep an eye out for somebody who needs a safe place to go and sort of, get re-regulated and get, back into the game. And it happens in a variety of ways and it happens every year. And the folks that happens to become some of our biggest advocates because they are, they're waiting to be met with the non-trauma informed response, right? And that's not what happens. It's like, we understand and we're going to give you this space and we're going to give you these supports and, whatever it is that you need to, to be able to re-regulate yourself and then have an opportunity to continue on with the learning because this is not easy work by any stretch.
And I think that opportunity of co-regulation as a group, I mean, I'm telling you, when I stepped on that opportunity, stepped on that stage, I could feel.
You could feel it.
That co-regulate, because I don't normally get nervous. I was slightly nervous because it was a large group, right?
Yeah.
But I could feel that. And I think people in that space, that's why I started paradigm shift education, right? When you go through these paradigm shifts, there's a sense of there's a feeling of grief that you go through, and sometimes that can be dysregulating when you're like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
you're telling me what I've been doing could have potentially negatively impacted a child.
Right.
That's hard to grapple with, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've all been through that process,
Exactly.
which allows us to be in a space and place to allow other people to go through that with us, to go,
Right.
been there. Like, I get that.
Yep.
But think about what you're going to do moving forward. And then I think another piece too is the ability to connect to people. I don't know if you all know, but I met Janine McConaughey. That was the first time I'd ever met her. And we sat at the table and we talked for like 2 straight hours.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's what this is about. It's the largest gathering of trauma-informed educators. Just like the Trauma-Informed Educators Network is as a group, right? It's the same, but it's in person if you choose, or it's virtual.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And I want to say that virtual component, you'd be surprised at how much you can still get that feeling and that experience virtually. We had, we've had this experience several times now because we're getting really good at doing it virtually, but that chat feed gets rolling and people really start to connect with each other in the feed and start networking with each other in the feed, especially when they find people who are in their same state or area, because sometimes it feels really lonely out there and you feel like you're the only one. And so that connection piece can happen just as powerfully in the virtual. And we love to see that. We love the activity that happens there too.
That reminds me, Ginger, that we didn't tell the folks that about the other person, our special guest who's coming and is coming both on the in-person and on the virtual side. And that reminded me because on the virtual side, we're going to do something very intentionally relational on Thursday night. We're going to have a open, interactive breakout room type situation where Mr. Chaz will lead us into talking about what is triggering us, what do we get triggered by, and what can we do about it in the moment. And then we'll break out a network, and it's designed for people to not only meet each other, but to understand that you're not alone out here in this work. You're not alone in the work. You're not alone in getting triggered by what happens in your classrooms and in your schools. And you're not alone in searching for the answers of what you can do about it. And I think that's been a powerful missional theme for us for the last 27 years, is to make sure that the people doing this hard work know they're not alone. But tell them about Chaz, Ginger, because I really want them to know.
I don't know if you know who he is, Matthew, but he is a social media influencer. I got to meet him a couple of years ago when we were doing a masterclass with Dr. Mona Delahook, and he's just full of energy. But the thing about him is he's just so authentic, and he's got this natural instinct for what works and what doesn't work in the classroom. And he is able to share that information and teach it in very bite-sized pieces that are so good. He says things that could be taken in a way that is hard to hear, but he does it in a way that's not offensive. And it makes you kind of sit back and really reflect on that ability to see yourself in a situation and what you could do differently. And so he's just got all these amazing skills to be able to relate to people and give you bite-sized strategies and tools and situations that you can kind of work through. So he's not only speaking at the virtual, but he will also be there in person. So everybody will get a chance to interact and learn from him and experience him.
Well, he just got a new follower on Instagram.
I followed him.
He only has 264,000 or 262,000 followers. I'm sure he appreciates my one, but nonetheless, Mr. Chaz seems like an absolute rock star. And that what you just described is what I call finesse, right? To say hard things where people can take, accept it. And then be able to begin to process it. And I think we all need that. And based off of what I see on his Instagram, I think he's going to be funny too, right?
Oh, he's hilarious.
He moves fast and it's funny, and yeah, just come for the entertainment, but you're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah, we don't try to keep up with him. We just let him do his thing, and we grasp what we can from him when we can, because he goes a mile a minute. But
I gotta say, I don't know if you want to get Mr. Chaz and myself together.
I know.
Because that sounds like it could be an amazing train wreck that everyone would want to watch.
I'm thinking it's like in Ghostbusters when they put the keymaster and the gatekeeper. Anything could happen.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to hear him. I can't wait to participate. I can't wait to be there. And I think it's cool that this year, the Trauma Informed Educators Network, this is the first time we've ever sponsored and partnered with anyone. We're kind of stepping out on a limb, and I reached out to you all and I said, hey, let's come up with something cool, where we will have a booth and people can come and chat with us. And I'm even considering maybe doing a live feed podcast from have people come up and let's just talk.
What a cool idea, Matthew, because I want to tell you, and I don't know because you were so busy being my prom date last year. If you noticed that we have Radio ATN at the conference, and it is just a way to sort of help amplify what's happening at the conference, both internally so that people can pick it up on their social media feeds, but also externally. So we'll, definitely, if you're going to do that, we would love to figure out how to work that in to make sure it's hitting all of our streams too, so that
that would be awesome.
Know what's happening, and the people. We learned really quick after our first conference that the teachers were way ahead of us on the social media. I mean, they came in asking what our Snapchat and our Twitter was, and all of these things that we really hadn't thought about in our initial conference plan, and we were like, whoa. So
these
now
young whippersnappers, I'm telling you.
No, that's exactly how I felt. But we're catching up, and it's so much fun, and we get a chance to interview speakers and interview exhibitors and sponsors and just attendees to find out why they're there and what they're learning, and there's just a lot of energy in all of that, which is great.
We'll talk about it, because my thought is, what's your story? I just want to know, people, how did you get here?
How did you get here?
What made you come here? Because we all have a story and a journey to get us to places like Houston for this conference, or to get us to listening to this podcast. And I always find motivation and inspiration in hearing how people got there to Houston, because it is an amazing experience, and it's one that I would hope and wish that anybody who is able and capable of, whether it's in person or virtually, talk to your school administrators, talk to your districts. I think you guys can even do POs and
we can do POs. We can do, if you're an individual, we can do a payment plan. Like if you're footing the bill on your own, we'll be glad to talk you through that, because we know that it might be a heavy lift for you as an individual versus having your school be able to fund that. But we're willing to be as creative with folks as they need to be.
Yeah.
That's, it's more important that you're there.
That's right.
Yep.
I love that. And somebody said earlier, I don't know who it was, because they didn't log into the platform, but it says a Facebook user said, conference is my self-care. And, we should unapologetically be okay with that. That going to a conference and learning and being motivated and connecting and being seen, heard, and validated is okay, right? And it's done collectively. It's collective care.
Yeah.
Whoever put that, yes, there is a component of self-care, especially like in that little lobby area where you sit at that little place where they serve you drinks. That's self-care. but on a serious note, like, it is a collective experience. This is a collective care opportunity to just be in the realm with people who get it and want to talk about it, and also just talk about what they're dealing with at school and problem solve. And it is self-care.
This is such an important opportunity and chance for those of you carrying so much of that weight and baggage, where you're like, I just don't even know what to do. I so many times have been walking through the conference halls and have just heard people's troubleshooting, like, well, what did you think about this? And what if we tried this? And well, what did you guys do when that happened? Because we're struggling with this. And those are conversations that some aren't able to have right now in their building alone, but to have that, I have seen just people's shoulders rise, and that I can see that weight being lifted, because where you just thought, I don't know what the answer is, then you walk away with like several possibilities of answers and support. And if it doesn't work, now you have people that you can go back to and say, I tried this and this didn't work, but what do you think? Because and Julie, all of us, we are troubleshooting with educators all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And we provide that level of support where we are here to troubleshoot, to offer resources and suggestions and link you to other people, and just provide that after conference support as well, because that's when it's really kind of hard to go back and face some things that you're feeling insurmountable. You're inspired and you're excited, but you're like, can I do this? Yes.
But you might be one of the only ones in your school. And so there, you need that support as well, right?
Well, and let's be honest, and I want listeners to hear this. Nobody has it all figured out.
Oh my gosh.
And I think there's power in that. And I tell people all the time, I can show you a video what my school looked like, but it didn't look like that every day. There weren't unicorns and rainbows flying around Fall Hamilton Elementary School. It was real hard work. And there were days we had it figured out better than other days. And there were days that I knew I couldn't figure it out. So I had to remove myself from situations. And sometimes just hearing that from other educators of going, yeah, it's been unbelievably hard in the last couple months, right? That in itself is reassuring that it's not just me. This is a greater work than just what I'm dealing with on an individual level. And when you know there's a network, which is why I started the Trauma Informed Educators Network, because when I started the network on Facebook, I was looking for people because I needed that. I needed that connection. I needed to hear this is really hard, or hey, I've tried this works, or hey, don't do this. That's why the network started, and it's now over almost 32,000 people.
That's amazing.
With almost 50, some months are 50,000 interactions. It's pretty powerful.
I think I know why we're connected like this, Matthew. It's because we both have network in our DNA, right? Yeah. And we understand that importance of not being alone ourselves, but also making sure that others are not alone. And it's really that's it.
It is.
I also want to make sure we talk about the Academy Day, because that's where we're going to stretch some people this year. We didn't know last year. We experimented with having a pre-con, a little bit of things happening beforehand to do a little deep dive, and it went pretty well. So this year it is all out Academy Day on Sunday. And we're gonna have sessions in the morning and the afternoon that go deep dive. And I hope that Ginger's thinking in her head what those are so she can tell me, because but while those are happening, one of them is Joe Brummer doing restorative circles, and so you actually get to experience a restorative circle. Woo, look at the books. And one of them is Melissa Sadin with her new book.
Here it is.
There it is, that the trauma informed teaching and IEPs. And so for our special educators, it's going to be an in-depth in that, which is fantastic. But the other thing that I'm super excited about is the poverty simulation that the folks from SDAC, that Rebecca Pancratz,
life-changing, you all. It's life-changing. They are doing life-changing work.
They are. And to bring that to us, and then they said, Julie, the only thing we need is 30 volunteers. And I was like, okay. And then we got 30 volunteers, didn't we, Ginger?
Yeah, we did.
From Lone Star Community College, from their teacher program, they're bringing 30 future teachers to help with this poverty simulation, which just almost gives me goosebumps thinking that 30 future teachers are not only going to get to attend our conference, but they're going to get to be a part of that poverty simulation and really get that at the beginning of their careers, which is amazing to me.
And it's interesting because I'm looking at the Academy Day, and I see so many familiar names.
I know.
Jen Alexander, she was on here, right? Amazing. Yes. Jessica Sinarski has not been on here, but I'm very well
you need to get her on.
Yes, I do.
We love
Stephanie,
Riley the Brave.
yes. So I'll reach out to her because I'm connected to her on social media.
I'm going to give her a big shout out here because she will blow your mind and she will change everything that you're doing. I mean, the science behind what she does and her knowledge and grounding in it is phenomenal. You're not going to find
it's all attachment focused too, which sometimes when we're talking trauma, we're not always talking about that. Yep. But when Jessica talks, she is. Yeah. So
awesome. And Stephanie, is it Lang? I don't know how to say it.
I always say
Lang. Okay. I met her in Indianapolis not too long ago. Joe Brunner. And it gets even better. Sorry, Dr. Sadin. I'll get your book at the conference. I have not gotten your new book.
It is so good.
I will get that at the conference. Is that going to be for sale at the conference?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an ASCD publication. I do know. So
awesome. And I saw Stacy York is there. And check this out.
Yes.
Look what I have on my phone.
Oh, that is awesome.
So she gave me that sticker a while back, and I'm like, you know what? Every time that I'm talking and somebody sees this, I'll be like, yeah, just go be you.
Go be you.
Yeah.
So wow, what an amazing that Academy Day alone is going to be remarkable.
It is packed. Yeah. And you can start first thing in the morning with those first sessions and then hit a poverty simulation, or you can hit 2 sessions and then another. We are doing the poverty simulation twice so that everybody has an opportunity to go, because it's going to be that.
I would say pace yourself, but if you want to cram your Sunday through that, I mean, I get it too, because there's just so much good stuff. Right.
Well, I will tell you, I went to the I was the keynote at the ESDAC conference, and I'm going to be honest, what I had planned for the keynote, I've never done this before. I completely scrapped the whole thing based off of what I experienced with them, which they had students come up and tell their stories.
Yes.
And I there's a kid, his name is Caden. He will forever be imprinted in my brain, because a lot of people don't realize that we all have coped with trauma in a very varying ways. And I've shared on here, I had a pretty extensive drug problem for many years in my late teens, early 20s. And I listened to his story, and wow, it like lit this fire in me where I spoke. And to listen to a kid that's in the middle of his own recovery and in the middle of his own paradigm shift, and speaking to the impact that this work has had on him is so powerful. And that's what ESDAC puts into that simulator, right?
Yes.
Because Rebecca is an advocate. She's been on the podcast as well. And the way she talks about her own life experiences and lived experiences through that simulation, it's game-changing. It's life-changing for people.
It is. Yeah. No, we can't wait. In fact, I've got board members lined up to take the poverty simulation. It's like, can we go? Can we go? I'm like, sure. As long as there's room, we can all go, because it is going to make a difference in the way everybody looks at it.
Oh, and I think it breaks down again, paradigms, right? Mm-hmm. Especially for people who have not grown up in poverty, but work with people who are currently living in poverty.
Right.
That checking that bias at the door is really important in that work, because there's a lot of misconceptions that are carried, whether we know it or not.
Right. Yeah.
And being able to break those down is huge. So, there is another person and going to be speaking, me.
That's right.
And my former colleague and friend, Laura Kane, which you all, if I could ever say like the best thought partner that I've ever experienced, she is one of the best think partners that I've been able, because one, she's super chill. I'm not always super chill, she's super chill. She's always well thought out. So we're going to be talking about the ecosystem community and integrating trauma-informed approaches in your school communities. I am the director of communities with PACES Connection right now, but we had a robust community support system in the school that I led. And the power of it is so important. It's interesting because I'm working with a district right now on the East Coast, and I asked them, how many community partners do you have? And they looked at me and said, what do you mean? Yeah. How many people in your community are supporting your school and what you do? Well, we haven't really done that before. You all, this is community work. It's not on the weight of the school alone. It can be the faith-based community. It can be the business community. It can be the healthcare community. It can be universities in your local setting. So we're going to talk a lot about those pieces in our session as well.
Well, and we purposefully, excitedly, we're just so happy that you proposed that, because that is what is needed. And we have tried to hit every type of situation and make it so accessible to everyone. There will be people that are looking for that specific need that is not in their community that they need to fill.
Yeah.
Especially those that are more advanced on their school-wide shifting and their school-wide implementation of this work. I mean, that is the hardest part, I think, of putting together a conference like this is let's talk to the folks that are coming here who've never been before and may not have any background in brain science or ACEs or any of those things. And then let's also talk to the folks who've come now, what's going to be 6 years worth.
Right.
And where they are in their journey as well.
And not only that, but we've got classes for preschool teachers, classes for elementary, middle, high, alternative settings. And so we've really hit everything. There's something for everybody, and all forms of educators. We are welcoming those who are paraeducators, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and superintendents. We have a bus driver, coming.
Love it.
Anyone that works with a child or comes in contact, that's always our goal. When we talk about trauma informing a school, we're not talking about just the teachers in the classroom. We're looking at every corner of the building. And so that's what this conference is all about too. There's something for everybody, and it's just so content rich.
Well, and I got to give a few more shout outs to some friends that are going to be there, because I'd be a mess.
There's so many.
I know. I could spend like 45 minutes just shouting out friends. But Dr. Dustin Springer is coming.
Love them.
We love him.
I just met him. I'm smitten.
Dustin is an amazing dude. I'm going to be honest. Dustin and I have actually hung out here in Nashville. He's a huge soccer fan of Kansas City Sporting. I'm a huge Nashville SC fan. He and his daughter came down. We hung out, went to a game, and we talked trash on soccer nonstop. But outside of that, Dustin is a fellow unapologetic disruptor who was a disruptor when he was younger. And like myself, we have learned how to use those superpowers for good. But he's bringing a lot of Dr. Desautel's work and the application in his school. Such powerful work. Of course, James Moffitt, a friend and fierce force. He's going to be there sharing his depth of knowledge and his leadership at his school in Kansas as well. I mean, there's so many people.
Did you mention Jim Sporleader? He will be there speaking as well.
Yeah, of course.
Father Jim.
Father
Jim. Actually, we call him God. Actually, I call him Godfather. Hold on a minute. I've got to share this. Dustin actually has a nickname that I want you to call him when he comes.
Okay. I know this.
It is Hot White Bread. So just make sure. Yeah, Hot White Bread. Just so you know, that is his nickname.
I have to write it down.
Write it down. If you could put that in his bio, that would be great. But we were actually at a dinner, and Jim Sporleader was there, and I think so many of us.
We were at that dinner too,
But we were at the other end of the table, so I don't think I know this joke.
You guys were at the other end. So, you heard the rest of the nicknames. For those people that want to know the rest, come and talk to James and myself. We will fill you in on the other nicknames as we start a boy band. Dustin, James Moffitt, and Matthew Portell. Maybe we'll feature ourselves at the ATN conference for the first time.
Maybe we could have some karaoke one night.
Godfather, Jim Sporleader at the head.
Jim will just stand in the corner of the stage with his arms crossed, because as we talked about the nicknames, he just shook his head at us like
he did.
But Jim really is the godfather of this work, and
he is.
And hearing, James and I share our stories all the time. We came to this work very, very similarly, and it was through Jim, really.
Yeah.
And to see his passion continue and keep traveling and presenting and sharing his knowledge is so powerful. But you all, that's just some of our friends. There's so many. Meg Baldwin is going to be there. She was just on the podcast a couple episodes ago. So you all, if you have not registered, down there at the bottom, if you're on here live, you can see that it's www.attachmenttraumanetwork.org/conference/. If you type that in, you will be able to see where to register, how to register, the agenda. You'll see it all on there. But don't be like 90% of other people and wait till the week before, you all. It's stressful. It's very stressful.
It is stressful. Yeah. We want to make room for you. We want to make sure that you get breakfast and you get snacks and all the good stuff that comes with being at the conference.
Yeah. And you would not believe the hotel rate is the lowest that you will ever find. I am not just saying that. I cannot find a hotel anywhere these days for the rate that we're locking it in at. So you need to jump on that as well. That will save you a ton of money.
Ginger, I might need one of those email reminders. No. I'll book mine. I'll book it tonight. I'm going to vow to book mine tonight.
17th email, Matthew. I will send you an 18th email.
I know. James Moffitt, reply to your emails too. Apparently, we are on the same list of non-replying people. I'm guilty of it, you all. But here's the thing. I can't wait to meet you all. If I already know you, I can't wait to see you. Right. I will tell you that if you haven't met Julie, when you see her at this conference, she's going to have a glazed look in her eye. Yeah. And she's going to kind of walk around like this because putting on a conference of this size is really hard. So please support ATN with this. Show up, be a part, be an active part. Share it with your friends, bring people, you all there. We tend to find groups in the evenings to just all hang out and talk and tell stories.
And we've got some fun things planned this year. Last year we were kind of laid back because it was COVID and people were exhausted. We got some bingo and other fun things happening, Yep, it's going to be a party.
Sounds like I'm going to have to bring my dress tracksuit for those events. I only wear that tracksuit on a very special occasions, and that might be one of them.
That might be a good time to bring that out. And even if I am looking a little dazed and confused, please introduce yourself. Say you heard about this on the podcast because I do want to meet you. And I might be on roller skates and my hair might be on fire, but hey, I still want to meet you and learn about your journey too. So
absolutely. Well, thank you all for coming on the podcast and allowing the Trauma Informed Educators Network to be a part, allowing me to be a part, because it is life-changing work and it's connecting work that fuels my flame to continue to do all of the things that I continue to do, because it's the people that I connect to are the fuel to the fire that I have inside. And you two are just part of that amazing group of fire building people that continue to stoke this flame for all of us doing this work. So again, if you want to register, you can go to the attachmenttraumanetwork.org/conference to register. If they want to follow the ATN or you all on social media, where can they find you?
You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Insta. All of those things. You can sign up for our emails to really learn what we're up to and to get articles and blogs and things along those lines. And you can do that through our website as well. So, we'd love to have you.
Awesome. And I see that we have quite a few new people listening. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Principal List. On Instagram, you'll just see some random things. I don't post on there as much as I should. Twitter, you'll see a lot of professional thoughts. Some of them will probably make you and I both uncomfortable because I put all kinds of things out there. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you'll see me fishing and you'll see my thoughts. If you really want to follow the work, follow at the Trauma Informed Educators Network or the podcast. That's where I share most of the content. And as always, please use the Disruptors Unite. The hashtag that just shows that you're part of this work. You're an unapologetic disruptor, which I will have these t-shirts at the ATN if you would like your own.
All right.
In one of 3 different colors, red and white and gray and black. Or black. Yeah, gray and black. Anyway, if you want one, come get one.
If you wear your red one on an airplane like somebody did, you might get flagged and have a second pat down. So that's,
You know what, Ginger? That is no extra charge. That comes courtesy of being an unapologetic disruptor.
I'm like, why didn't I go for the gray, the red? It was the red.
Yeah, and then, but you didn't get the name Hot White Bread, so I don't know what's up with this, Ginger.
Hey, Ginger, we'll come up with a good one. If you want to help us with this band experience coming, apparently I don't know who it is because their name isn't on there, but they have offered to play the triangle in our band.
Right.
So, a lot of great things happening, you all, at the ATN. You never know what you're going to get, but actually you do know what you're going to get. You're going to get an amazing experience of like-minded people, experts in the field, and connections that will literally carry you through this work. Because it's about the people that we work with. It's about the adults that we connect to, and it's about the kids that we get to experience on a daily basis. And so you will not be disappointed. I hope to see you there. If you do, please come up and say hi to me as well. If you need a nickname, I'm sure I can come up with something on the fly. I'm not sure the band will be asking for any more members, but nonetheless, I am here to serve. So thank you all so very much for listening. And those of you who have been live, thank you for your interaction. Really appreciate that. That helps us in our conversation. But as always, please go out into the world and do something absolutely awesome. All right. Thank you all for being live. I know who some of you are, and your names aren't even up there, which I think is hilarious for you listening in. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. I got to say, Ginger and Julie, this might be one of the most fun podcasts that I've done in a really long time. I know you're not shocked because we're just fun people.
It wasn't super content heavy. I don't know if anybody learned anything except, come to the conference and let's have a good time. But that's part of it, right? Being playful is hugely important.
It is. Well, thank you all for listening. And I will not be here next Thursday. Or this Thursday, I do not have a podcast. It was actually a repeated guest, and it was a miscommunication. But I will be the next week and every week until mid-January. So I've got a fully packed shows for you coming up. But thank you all for being here. Julie and Ginger, if you'll wait just a second. Thank you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.